Hello. In this video, I will demonstrate four-voice part writing using root position triads whose roots are a second apart. Now, this type of voice leading is a little bit tricky in that all of the notes from one chord to the next, if the roots are a second apart, are a step away. So it would seem the best voice leading would just be to move all the voices by step in the same direction. That would be the least amount of skipping or leaping. However, that causes parallel fifths and octaves. I'll show that by writing out the notes of the first two chords. So if I were to write those voices as I have them written above, we would have these two moving together, and that would be parallel octaves, right? G going up to A. We also have the G up to the D and the A up to the E. That would be parallel fifths if they move together. This is how it would look on the manuscript. I had the A go up to C sharp and the G go up to A and the D go up to E. Yes, the voice leading is smooth. I don't see any skips or leaps, but we lose the individual identity of the voices because they're moving in parallel fifths and parallel octaves. So what we want to do with this is we want, and this is true whenever we have roots a second apart, we want the upper three voices to move in the opposite direction of the bass or the root by step and skip. So I'm going to remove these voices. And we'll start again by writing the letter names of the first chord. And this time I'm going to think about the direction of the upper notes as I write them. I know there's an A in the bass. So what is the nearest note to G that's below G in the chord? And that would be E. Down. This is going up. Then I think, what is the nearest note to B in the chord? And it would be A. And what's the nearest note to D that's downward? That's C sharp, okay? So opposite of the roots movement, okay? And I will say the nearest note. So we went to the nearest note opposite of the root. So let's write those in, see what it looks like. So I'm having my B go down to A. And then my G is going to go down to E, which is just a skip. And my D is going to go down to C sharp. So again, notice that the upper three voices are going in the opposite direction of the root, which happens to be in the bass, by step and skip. Never the same direction, or very, very rarely. I'll finish this one out with our normal common tone, our most common tone voice leading. We have a D, we have an A in the tenor. So I am going to put an A there for our last chord. There's our common tone. Then we can have F sharp in the alto, D in the soprano. So we have movement by step. Also note that this is the leading tone of our key. It needs to go up to the tonic of our key, which it does. And this sounds like this. Okay. So very smooth, but we also hear each individual voice maintain its identity.